Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Aeons. Welcome to Strange Aeons Radio. That's Eric Morgard over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa Williams over there.
Hey, everybody.
I'm Kelly Young. We're talking about a bunch of shit, but I wanted to mention, Eric, you were at this party, and so was I at Steve Holitz's tiki party he had a couple weeks back, and it was so neat because I noticed Vanessa Williams wasn't there.
Well,
but
I wasn't invited.
It was so neat because it was almost a mini hangout with the Crypticon family.
Oh, that's awesome.
Tony Kaye was there, and we love him so much. Nick the Hat Gucker was there, and his lovely wife Denise. And it was basically all the people I kind of go to Crypticon for anyway.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Except for Vanessa.
Yeah, and Hollis family, of course.
You know, it's fine. You don't have to wait for Crypticon to see me anymore.
That's true. I'm tired of you.
Yeah.
Crypticon's going to show up, and I'm going to be like, can't I get a weekend away?
I'm so over hanging out with this chick. Why did I agree to this?
But it was a groovy hangout. A lot of rum, a lot of cool music being played.
At like a tiki bar, or was it a tiki themed party?
It is at a tiki bar,
awesome.
and it's his tiki bar in his backyard.
Ooh, snap.
He was making his own special drinks and everything too.
What?
And you show up and you'd be handed.
He's a mix master, man. He mixed a couple
He had some really cool tiki mugs. You were handed a mug when you got there, and it was just like, "What are you drinking?"
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a blast. So I just wanted to, I know that Steve listens to the show. I want to extend a big thank you for the invite. Vanessa is a little disappointed.
Thank you, Steve. Screw you, buddy. It's fine. I have my own tiki glasses. It's Dr. McCoy, and it sits on my shelf looking at me.
Wow, with nothing in it to drink.
True. Just my sadness.
Yeah,
I can
tears.
drink deeply from it each evening and think of you, Steve. As I sip at its edge.
Well, this went exactly where I wanted it to when I started this, so now we can move on to what you guys have been up to.
Oh, man. Well, I went on a pursuit to try and find an uplifting A24 movie.
Oh, you did?
Nice.
I'm still convinced it's out there. But Gloria Bell is not the answer.
I've not heard of this one.
Oh man, Julianne Moore. It's a great little indie kind of movie about being older and retired and having her kids out of your life, as grown-ups, and being divorced and trying to figure out kind of find happiness and find love, and how it's really hard to do, and maybe you never will, but. She loves to dance, so she always gets to dance. No matter what happens, she gets to dance.
So she looked all over the world, every boy and girl?
Every single one.
And ended up dancing with
left.
herself?
Yeah. It's actually, I mean, it's a sweet...
I think only two of us know that song.
I was like, is that Dancing in the Streets?
No.
It's a Billy Idol song.
The bigger question is... when does the decapitation start and the possession?
You're going to be disappointed.
Oh.
Unless you count like a crying, unhappy baby, a special appearance by Michael Cera.
What? Oh, sure. All right.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, hey, Michael Cera still exists. Here you are.
Wow.
Way to go. I'm sure he's around. I'm just not watching the stuff he's in. That's all. Like, I'm sure it's good. I haven't encountered it in a while. So I'm always surprised, when that happens, and you're like, oh, like you still exist. This is cool. I'm glad you're alive.
Last thing I saw him in was the Marlon Brando character in season 3 of Twin Peaks.
Oh, cool. I have not yet watched season 3.
Okay.
Because I'm a bad human. But I know people who were in it.
That counts.
Right?
Close enough.
I was once ignored at a party by, oh my gosh, what's his name? Amy's brother. Oh man. The guy from Hackers.
Sedaris.
No.
Not Amy Sedaris' brother?
No.
You know, something Sedaris?
All the Sedaris's. She did the water movie. I'm gonna peace out on this conversation. I have gone the wrong direction 5 times now. I'm just gonna
Eric,
back
please
it up.
leave all of this in.
Oh God, please, please.
Some
don't.
version of it, at least.
What about you, man?
Let's see. I've been rereading Invincible.
Ah,
It's a comic book series by the guy who wrote The Walking Dead.
Very cool.
And,
Kirkman. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
read a couple other Kirkmans, but how is Invincible?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's a superhero story. A kid who grows up on Earth and finds out he has powers, and later learns it's from his dad, and his dad's actually not what you think his dad should be. And largely one continuous story. It's
Yeah.
his story, and it's done. It wrapped up, I think, 22 graphic novels.
Okay.
Yeah, like 132 or something was the
Yeah.
final issue. It was a weird number.
Great art, ridiculously violent. One of the
Yeah.
more
That's
fine.
violent
Super
comic
gory.
books
Wow.
I've ever read.
Is it like really? So is it? It doesn't sound like it's a very like traditional superhero style.
It starts off that way, and
Yeah,
then I
but-
think about issue 8, it takes a hard left, and you're like, whoa, this got really cool. And the reason I never read it was because of those first 8 issues. It looked like a very standard superhero story. And then
Yeah.
Eric said, hey, you might want to give this a try. Kirkman says he always planned on it doing that, but it happened so late in the series. I mean, 8 issues in, almost a year into the series, you throw this new thing in that completely changed and made the series amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
But you risk losing a lot of readers if you wait that long to make this happen.
Yeah.
No, that sounds totally like a wake up in sweat in the middle of the night, realizing that your career is not where you want it to be, and you sit down and you scratch out in big black Sharpie what you've been working on and start anew. I think that's what happened to him.
I think he may have done that, and it was a brilliant choice.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was such a great comic series.
Oh man, okay. Well, I will definitely add it
And
to my list.
It goes from small town stories to
I mean, I think you have to kind of spoil this series to convince people to read it, because if you read the first 5 issues, you're going to be like, okay, this is nothing new.
this is
But-
Spider-Man with Superman level powers.
Yeah, but consider this then. If Superman was rocketed to Earth not to become Superman, but to be the advanced scout for an invading army, and he becomes part of the Justice League and all this stuff, and everything he does is a lie, and then he goes and kills Batman, Green Lantern, and everybody.
Kills
That's
the whole
great.
Justice League. And
Oh my
then
god, that sounds amazing.
And the son, who has always thought that his dad is Superman, finds out and is just like horrified of who his dad is, and now this is where the story goes on from issue 8.
The first truly violent, him killing everybody's pretty violent, but him and his son, the dad and the son's first battles, the first time it goes like really ultra violent. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I mean, when that happened, I was like, I am full in. I think you gave me like the first
Probably the first 2 or
something.
3 before.
Then I ended up spending way too much money to get every
Yes.
other one of them because I was just drawn into this amazing
And
story.
freaking Kirkman, man, he will write. He
Yeah.
will write and write and write. Like, is Walking Dead done yet?
Yeah, it's wrapping up the comic. I mean?
Yeah, the comic. I
It's
don't
wrapping
have
up
the
like an issue or 2 very soon if it hasn't
Oh wow.
already.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess I can finally finish it because I'm only 5 maybe graphic novels behind, but I've read like 23 of them already.
Right.
So I'm not feeling too far behind. But like it's always hard to know with people like Kirkman or Ellis, or if you hear that they're involved in a superhero style series. Most of the time when I dive in to find out like, oh cool, it's a writer I like. Let's see what crazy thing they did with a superhero. It's totally a normal superhero story. I don't really enjoy these. Lame. Wish I had my $11 still. Okay. I'm writing it down. Did you guys read Mr. Miracle?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounds like it
Alan
was
Moore.
almost slightly similar.
There's some
in
parallels, I would
Yeah.
say, at least in the idea of it, of somebody's taking a traditional superhero story
Right,
and then
and
saying,
circumventing it.
right,
Yeah.
what if I'm writing this story and it just happens to have superheroes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's only a couple that I've really enjoyed. Like I really liked recently that was out White Knight.
I didn't read that.
Oh, it's actually really good. So it's a Batman Joker series where Joker gets medicated and straightens out, but Batman can't like change the dynamic. He's not willing to accept that Joker might be like a normal, smart, nice guy. And so he's like continuing to just beat the crap out of him in the street. And he's like, "What's your angle?" And Joker's just like, "Where is it?" And Joker's like, "Could you please stop hitting me?" And like Joker has to like sue Gotham for like damages. And then Harley Quinn shows up, and there's a really great moment where there's two Harleys. One is her modern Harley that I personally hate. And then there's the original Harley who beats the shit out of that Harley. And she's like, "Girl, you just showed up one day in the night. You ain't the real stuff. Get out of here."
It.
Oh, it's so
nice.
good. There's some really, really great moments in it. So I highly recommend that.
I went to the theaters.
What?
I saw a movie.
My goodness, you took a night out?
I saw 47 Meters Down, Uncaged.
Of course you did.
I've seen the first one. How was the
so
second?
I love that first one. I like it a lot.
That's a lot of fun.
I thought Mandy Moore was a surprising casting choice, and I thought she was really good, and I thought the story was good. I thought the sharks looked great.
Yeah.
It was a real surprise for me. I put it up there with, I love Deep Blue Sea.
Right.
I put it right up there as far as that kind of entertaining thing. 47 Meters Down Uncaged. Same director.
Okay.
Same writer.
Promising.
but
Well, we all three of us love the movie The Descent.
Yes.
Now, what
Fantastic.
if The Descent with sharks was pitched to you?
I feel like The Descent is enough. Like, my heart had a hard time with that film. I feel like shark movies are enough. I felt like 47 Meters Down was like an intense fucking film.
strange.
It seems dark.
It doesn't
Dark
work.
with
I'll tell you
sharks.
that much. It does not work. And it is basically the same premise of four young girls who go diving, cave diving, and come
guys.
across albino sharks that can't see but are
Jeez.
attracted to your movements, the vibrations in the water, and the
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Don't
it's
steal someone else's movie. Come on.
It's
Or
so
if you're
much.
gonna do it really well, at least.
Right. Or change it. I mean, sharks is not enough of a...
Pale sharks. In the
the problem is this might have worked if they had spent any time on character development, but these four teenage girls are the blandest, tropiest girls in cinema. There's a nerd, and there's the hot chick, and there's all this stuff that you're just like, well, what are you trying to do? Who are you aiming this film at? Because
Right.
this is
Teenage boys.
teen movie,
Right.
but then why the sharks? I didn't
Just
like
have the girls in the caves.
I didn't like
swimsuits.
any of it. These teenage girls stumble across a lot of high-tech diving equipment, and they're like, hey, let's take this and use it and go down into this Mayan cave
Sounds
system
like a
underwater.
great way to get the bends.
It's so bad. The only thing that might have saved it is the director said he wanted to call it 48 Meters Down and have the tagline, "One more meter of horror," and I would have been all
God.
in.
That'd be so good.
Because
Next time, guys. Next time.
He thought, the studio wouldn't let him do that. They said it's 47 Meters Down Uncaged, and he said this is going to be very confusing. And he probably should have worried more about the story, but
Spend a little more time in that direction.
Just a big thumbs down for me. I was very
That's too
disappointed.
bad.
Bummer.
And I like me some dumb shark movies.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about the Sharkensaw State Women's Prison Massacre,
What?
which I loved.
What?
I
It's an asylum joint?
Oh God, no! It didn't have that kind of money behind it. What are you talking about?
Whoever it
Are they
looked like
paper sharks? Like,
More like
how much littler money can you get than
Sci-Fi
asylum?
Network.
Yeah.
Like somebody wanted to rip off the Sci-Fi Network.
That's the operative word being rip off. It's like, hey, those awesome movies Sci-Fi Channel makes? What if we were to make really bad movies?
Did they take like models already of like really terrible video game style sharks?
Yes.
And just plug
Yeah,
them in?
that's
Yes.
Okay.
Also,
all
the
right, I
sharks
understand now.
burrow through the ground.
Well, don't sharks do that anyway?
My point being that when I pitch that idea to you, that you're kind of like on, that sounds stupid, but entertaining.
Yes.
This one, not entertaining. 47 meters down uncaged, not entertaining.
But hey, it's still water themed. We got like a water theme thing starting up here.
I went into this film going, guess what I'm going to be talking about for my water themed horror.
So you're saying that that's not what you chose?
Not what I chose.
Ooh.
I have one too that's water named, but not water themed in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen the film Eden Lake?
No.
Nope.
Brutal. I would not pass this one on to you, Kelly. It's like, no, you're not the brutality kind of guy. It's Michael Fassbender.
Oh, I do
Is
like
the
Michael
lead-
Fassbender. I have
lead
seen this
guy.
movie. Now that you mention it,
Oh yeah. Okay.
this
Instant
is
click.
shouldn't this have been in the attacking kids theme from last
It could
week?
have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have seen this movie. It is brutal. I don't like this movie.
No, it's Michael Fassbender and Kelly Riley. It was part of one of the. I think it was part of one of those 8 films to die for, or 6 films, whatever that was happening in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It came out in 2008. James Watkins directed, who's also done some movies. McMafia, whatever that is, but a Black Mirror
Is that like a
episode.
McDonald's?
He did do The Woman in Black.
Yeah. It wasn't, but I liked it.
Had Harry Potter on train tracks?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the one.
That's a good way to describe it. Well, Harry Potter is on trains frequently.
Oh, that's true. God, in all the forms. Daniel
Harry Potter's so
Radcliffe, you gotta avoid some railroad ties, sir.
But that was it's brutal. It's this couple. The only thing I think that kept it from being really effective, solid film, was there are so many moments where I'm going, just let it go. You don't have to do this, dude, because the two of them, Michael and Kelly, go out and they're going to build their dream home in this new development, but right now it's still just woods. And they run into a bunch of asshole kids while they're on the beach, and they're being asshole kids. And instead of just letting it go, he has to, be manly man and stand up, and for no real reason, actually.
Yeah.
They're not that mean. They're just kind of shitheads. And that happens probably 3 or 4 times. But they are so good. And the kids, the acting performances are so solid. The directing is really, really well done as well, that it works effectively as a film. It's very uncomfortable. It's not anything I'm going to watch again. But it kept popping up on all these lists I was looking at. But I was like, okay, I'll check it out.
I actually saw that movie in the theater.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And I was like, this sounds awfully semi-familiar. So I think last week I'd mentioned that I'd seen a movie where like a bunch of like chavs attack some people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's that movie.
Oh, okay.
That's so crazy.
That's weird.
Yeah, I remember not super enjoying it, but it was.
It's not an enjoyable, pleasant film, even if you think it's good.
We go to horror films for very different reasons.
The only reason I did see this is because Michael Fassbender, and I've got a big ass crush on this guy.
Well, when I saw it, I was new enough to film that I had no idea what I was looking at. So I really couldn't dissect it that intelligently and realize that people like Michael Fassbender were in it, or, as an adult, perhaps they should have made better decisions.
Yes, they should have. Yes,
I was too young and dumb when I saw this movie, okay? I'll have to give it a...
Kelly and I haven't surmised yet, have relatively similar tastes in movies,
Sure.
except for one massive difference. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of fascinated by extreme film, like Serbian film or necromantic, or how far people can push something and still make it reasonably watchable. Yeah. And you don't, because not like that stuff much at all.
The other difference is I really love so bad they're good kind of movies.
Yeah.
And Eric is...
I'm coming around on that one, though,
okay.
yeah. Come on, man. Werewolves on Wheels was my recommendation.
That's right,
That's pretty good.
I think I won you over with Doom Asylum.
Yeah. Oh, no, actually,
seen
it was
Asylum.
probably the Death Race movies.
Those Wait a second. Are we saying those movies are bad?
Yeah.
Jason Statham's in that first one.
Well, he's in the first one, but I'm talking about the sequels.
Yeah.
The first one kind of sits separate as, okay, this
Aren't
is
they
an
based on
entertaining
some
film.
70s films as well?
Oh, yeah. Death Race 2000
Yeah.
with Stallone and,
They're like really hokey.
Carradine.
yeah, David Carradine.
That's actually a good movie to study because
Yeah.
it's a very satirical, topical film of the time, and Corman didn't like that it was going to be funny, so he basically cut out all of the funny scenes. The director was just like, I'm making a statement on the state of our union right now. And Corman was like, yeah, except I hired you to make an action movie.
That's right.
So you can still kind of see some of the humor in it, but Corman
is there like a director's cut laying around somewhere?
I don't think so. I don't think they saved shit. I don't think Corman saved anything.
Corman doesn't usually do that kind of stuff. Sort of like, you've never seen the Fantastic Four version that he did. No, well, not legally at least.
I hear it's amazing.
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a little bit more Team Kelly as far as my movie watching goes. Like, I'll watch Extreme if there's a reason for it, but I always, like, in my mind, I'm just very story based. Like, there has to be like a good reason
that's right.
for
That's
why
why I
what's
was like,
happening.
it's got to be. How far can you push the extreme and still be creating a good movie?
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of like I couldn't stand Hostel or any of those kind of. It's like
I remember watching like part of one of the Saw films and watching somebody fall into a pit of needles, and I was like, I'm not sure why I'm watching you right now.
Right.
So interesting, huh? Okay. I endorse your research and encourage you to continue. Come back with your findings.
But that's actually what I think led me to Eden Lake, was I'd read something about it being a really extreme one, and it is fairly extreme.
I can't even remember. Yeah, I don't remember. The answer has been given to me. I will not tell you guys what it is. Go out and check it out yourselves to find out more.
All right.
EdenLake.com, I assume.
Vanessa, have
so
you
good.
seen anything else?
Yeah, so just to carry this on. Okay, I saw Cold Pursuit, kind of.
Kind of?
Kind of.
Were you half asleep? You woke up, walked 5 minutes, fall back asleep?
So I was doing this emergency, not an emergency, but it was an emergency edit for this trailer for this game that was like coming out like in Australia within hours.
Oh, jeez.
And I was just, Red Bulling it and trying to make my way through. And I threw it on in the background because it was like 4 a.m. And I was like, I gotta stay awake. And so like, I kind of saw it was on and I was like, oh, I thought this movie was going to be much better than it was. And then I finished the edit and I sent it off. And I was like, I'm going to watch that last scene. What happened in that? So I watched the last scene and I was like, what happened right before that? So I went to the one before and I kept doing this until I saw the whole film. So I saw Cold Pursuit backwards and it was pretty good.
It's like watching Irreversible, but not by choice.
Yeah, it felt very European. I don't know whether it was meant to anyway, but I enjoyed it. It was a good Liam Neeson movie. The first time I saw it, when I wasn't paying attention, I didn't like it. Second time backwards, pretty good. Pretty good.
I'm unfamiliar. Is this a new movie or?
It's a couple years old now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cold
or
Pursuit.
even maybe 1 year old. But yeah, I think it's based off of either a novel or a European
I
version.
kind of recognize the name, but I was thinking something else when you said that
It is-
first. Until you said Liam Neeson. Oh, never mind. It's not what I was.
It's completely shockingly a revenge movie starring
Oh,
Liam Neeson,
wow.
where something
Does he have
happens.
a special set of skills?
He does.
There you go.
But his special set of skills involve being a snowplower. So he
Get
just
to sing the Homer Simpson song then.
you basically. I mean,
Plow.
it's basically that, but almost like a suspense horror. It's super brutal, super brutal. And he does not care what happens to him. So he just goes all out on the dudes who are responsible for his son's death. Like, all out. And he just, he's showing up at like fancy clubs and stuff in his like giant snow parka. And he's like, I'm here to see the Jimmy. They're like,
Jack Frost 3.
Yeah. Way better than the other two Jack Frosts.
Oh, well.
How weird is it that Liam Neeson, who's got to be
It's so weird.
70 now,
Oh, yeah.
is one of our biggest action stars?
I've never been able to wrap my head around this. And it's just like a fact in the world.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense because Liam Neeson was always one of the bumbling British guys, right?
Yeah.
Like he's never.
I don't know if he was bumbling, but he always played like dramatic.
He's always the
roles
uptight
and-
kind of guy. And
Yeah.
Yeah, like we
very
always saw
proper
him.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like we never saw him in like an action-oriented situation. Maybe Dark. Was he in Darkman?
Yeah, I think he
Yeah, that
was.
was-
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
but that was like the
he was
only
Darkman,
time.
wasn't he?
For
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah. Well,
And,
what
like,
was
it's
the
more
one
about
he
his
gave that
voice.
speech in? I mean, that's kind of the one that put him over the top.
That's Oh
when
my
he
gosh.
said, "I've got a
I
special
want to
set
say
of
the
skills."
transporter,
and-
but that's not
that's
right.
what I was thinking too.
The
But that's Jason Statham's
There are
jump to Pat.
500 people
I know,
on the
man.
internet right now screaming at us the name of the
Idiots!
How do you not know? Yeah, but it's interesting. Like, I've tried to follow more of his work, but I keep waiting for him to do a movie that's not a revenge film on some kind of moving vehicle.
Well,
Or-
come on, man. He got Star Wars.
Oh, no, we don't. Don't go there, man. Don't go there.
Hey,
Let's
do you
pretend that
guys
doesn't exist.
do you guys watch Mindhunter on HBO?
I've watched the
I-
first season.
Yeah, I saw about half of the first season, and then I kind of got bored and left.
Well, then I won't talk
Wow,
to you
really?
about
Okay.
this.
Just talk to him. It's
I thought it was
fine.
fantastic.
There you go. Everybody else
season.
did. I'm
Are
just
you aware
weird.
that the second season
Yes.
is out now?
Taken.
Yeah.
It's called Taken.
It's so good. It's so good. I mean, if you're a discerning
As a-
film watcher,
I understand my tastes may not be as refined as your own, like an old shelved wine
shelf.
gaining dust.
Who's the main guy in that? It's a major director, isn't it?
It's Fincher.
It is Fincher,
and he's
okay, yeah.
directing every episode.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Well, this one also, don't they go higher profile like Manson and stuff like that as far as the killers? in
I
this
haven't
one?
gotten to that, but they seem to be focusing this season on the BTK killer.
Oh,
So
boy,
Who's
he's
the
a mess.
BTK killer?
He's
he was the
not
bind,
cool.
torture, kill guy that they just found out who he was. I think maybe 10 years ago. At
Yeah, the early
most.
2000s. He did most of his killing from like 76 to 86
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, and then they caught him.
He named himself that, by the way. That's like, you can call me bind, torture, kill, because that's how I do what I do.
Oh, my God.
He's a horrific.
I do love that he also, with these psychopaths and serial killers, they've got such a high opinion of themselves. You know, a lot of people, the mistaken thing is that people think that psychopaths are super smart, and we've played into that with films like Silence of the Lambs and stuff
Sure.
like that. The truth is that psychopaths think they're super smart.
Of course.
So, you know, we've bought into the romantic notion of Ted Bundy defending himself, you know, acting as his own lawyer and all that stuff. But he was not a very good lawyer, clearly.
Right, exactly. He didn't win his case. as
This
it were.
guy wanted to talk to the police, and he was sending them messages and taunting them and all that. And then he basically asked them, you know, he said, "I'll continue this. Is there any way you guys can trace me if I send an email?" And they were like, "No." And he said, "Okay, great." So he sent some kind of email to them. They were able to track that back to
Oh
the
my
computer
God.
it was sent from.
Oh my God.
And that's how they caught him.
Why would you ask the police and then trust their answer?
These
'Cause he's
guys,
not as bright
he
as
had
you.
built up a relationship with the investigator,
Oh, my
and
God.
he was so hurt that the investigator lied to him. And basically, he said that, you know, "I can't believe you lied to me about this." And the cop was like, "I can't believe you were stupid enough to think I'd tell you the truth." Anyhow, this season seems to be working towards that. The BTK killer is still active
still-
because, you know, the series takes place in early 70s.
I was gonna say, so it's definitely not gonna end with a result because it takes
I don't
place
think
in the
so.
past.
Yeah, I don't think it can because I think it was early 2000s when he finally gave himself up. It had to be, right, because that's when we started using what I like to call electronic mail.
Ooh, fancy.
Sure. Okay. But yes, I definitely want to watch that.
It's so good. I'm loving it. I as Eric knows, I just love the 70s. I love the music. I love
Yeah,
the styles. I
sure.
love the cars, and this show is just all about that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
This is true. I did watch another one.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly also water-based, but this was not one I was watching for today at all.
a water-based lube movie.
No, sorry. Lake Mungo.
Oh,
Mungo.
I recommended this to
Yes.
you.
I've
What did you
heard
think?
good things about this.
It's good. It's almost frustratingly casual in the way it does scary stuff, which lends an authenticity to it, though.
Yeah, it's very low key.
Yeah, it's kind of a found footage film, but it's
Right.
more like a documentary made about found footage,
Right.
where they've got the
found
this
footage
talking
in
heads
there.
interviews and things like that, as opposed to just
Right.
presenting it as a movie of found footage. It's about a girl who dies at a lake I think part of the problem this movie has is Lake Mungo is a terrible name.
It is a terrible name.
It sounds like
tried
you.
harder,
I mean,
guys.
would anyone want to go swimming in Lake Mungo?
No, I mean-
no, thank you.
I'm just thinking of Mongo punching out a horse and Blazing Saddles or something whenever I hear that name.
Mungo's is like the stuff that you get between your toes.
Oh.
It's like, ugh, Jesus, you
It is
got
a
a bad
terrible
case
word.
of the Mungo going on down there.
But it is.
Or it's a Swedish piece of furniture. You know, one of the two.
Put this together at IKEA. But it's got really solid acting, really good acting. I mean, the directing's basic but it recreates a documentary of that style perfectly. The footage is frustratingly bad,
Yeah.
which is sometimes good, and at times I'm like, can we get just one kind of good image here? But yeah, it's well worth checking out.
Cool.
It's really, really good.
It also sets itself up to be one story, and then it starts unraveling, and you're like, where are they going with this? And then that's when the real creeps start.
Yes.
Because you're starting to think, this feels very much like a hoax, and that's what they're aiming towards. And then it's like, oh, that thing you thought this movie was about? It's not. It's this thing over here,
actually
which
this,
is
and then-
which is much darker.
Yeah, it is.
That's cool.
Yeah, so.
I'm glad that you liked it.
Yeah, that was well worth checking out.
That sounds like it has kind of a few things in common with Behind the Mask, in that it
The
circumvents
Leslie Vernon movie.
story. Yeah, where it starts off as this kind of like documentary, then it sort of twists into something different partway through.
I think there's a little more humor in Behind the Mask, and by
Yes,
that I
yes.
mean
Yes,
100% more than is in Lake Mungo, which
But if
is
we're talking about horror mockumentaries,
Yes.
then
yes, we had
There's
brought
only
this
so
up
many.
because we had done several episodes back on found footage,
Yeah.
and that was one that I was thinking,
Considering.
yeah.
And I hadn't seen it at all. So I was like, oh, all right. And this is another one of those. That was the 8 films to die for, 6 film series.
what is this
Yeah.
series? So I wasn't in this country at that time. What are you talking
It
about?
was they had something called the After Dark Film Festival, which was a
Yeah.
not real film festival, but it would show these 8 films that had been chosen for this nationwide film festival. It would show each film would show, I think, one weekend at
Sounds
a certain
right, yeah.
theater. So a lot of them were shown at the Alderwood Theater down here.
Oh, I might have actually been involved in one of those.
Okay,
Zombies of Mass Destruction.
I
Yeah.
don't. But did that make it to a?
I don't know if it was
it
the 8
was
films to
sold
die to, but there was
to
another.
Toronto.
There was 2 or 3 ones that cropped up, or that like
Okay.
6 films that'll scare you, or something like that.
Right, yeah.
I
'cause
think
I
it
know
was
that's
part of those.
'cause
'Cause
I
that was shot here.
Put all the paperwork
Yeah.
in for
Yeah,
them.
that was shot up here.
That was a fun movie. I didn't know you were involved in that.
Very tail end.
Okay.
I was just selling it. I was just putting the paperwork together. I did the festival circuit and then helped with the sales over to the After Dark thing.
Okay.
Nice.
So yeah, that was a cool little thing. I wish that had lasted longer because I did
Yeah.
see a couple of movies that I liked in that series.
Interesting.
The weird part is I remember disliking most of them quite
Yes.
thoroughly. But now when going back and watching films that I hadn't seen, going, oh, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's part of that series too. What the hell was I
Well,
watching?
You
It's like a
mentioned
huge scattering.
your film last week was The Children. I
Yeah.
think that was also one of those.
Yes, I
Oh,
think you're right. Yeah, I believe it
really?
was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Huh.
So there were a couple of gems in there.
Yeah.
And it was like every year they had a new 8, or was it just
It didn't go very long, but yeah, that was
I
the
think
idea.
it was 3 years max, and it was really kind of a neat thing. I do remember, like, out of the 8 films, there were 1 or 2 every year that was the ones that everyone agreed you need to go see this.
Yeah.
and the
And
rest
that's-
are like
You know, it's not a very good percentage if you're doing
Right.
this yearly.
so many so many people out there are making horror films per year, feature length, and it might be about 8 or 9. So maybe 1 or 2 of those are actually good.
Harsh, man.
Well, with all that said, shall we take
Yeah.
a little break, you guys? And
Sure.
then we will jump into, it was Vanessa's pick this time.
It was.
So we'll come right back with our choices for water-based lube movies. Hey guys, this October 4th through 6th, the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival returns to the Hollywood Theater in Portland, Oregon. Spend the weekend with guests of honor Victoria Price and special guests Roger Corman and Richard Stanley as they regale us with tales of cosmic terror. Join Victoria Price, daughter of Vincent Price, and director Roger Corman for a rare 35mm screening of The Haunted Palace with Q&A. Richard Stanley makes a triumphant return to the festival with his first feature film in years, The Color Out of Space. And Richard will give us behind-the-scenes insight on making the film. The H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival is like no other festival. This is the full 3-day weekend of films, panel discussions, presentations, live performances, author readings, and the guests are around for you to meet them and talk to them. Deluxe ticket packages are available right now through the Kickstarter campaign, which ends September 8th and features VIP experiences, exclusive collectible items made by Lovecraftian artisans, and there's a lifelike Shoggoth specimen from Tin Plate Studios, an Elder Things sculpted amulet by Dave Correa, a Lang Priest sculpture by A.S. Coy, an exclusive t-shirt design and lapel pin that's just for this year's campaign. Regular and single-day tickets will go on sale through the theaters soon, but when you back the Kickstarter, you often get other little perks like being able to sit in on a breakout session with featured guests or get into the theater first on opening night. Whether you're a diehard fan or just discovering Lovecraft, this festival has something for you. After all, it is the only festival that understands.
Up from the depths, 30 stories high, breathing fire, his head in the sky. Godzilla, 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 and Godzuki.
And we're back, and through the break, Vanessa reminded me that it's not water-based lube movies, it's actually water-based horror films.
I mean, you get a natural lubrication effect by water being involved, but we're not specifically looking for an additional lubrication agent in the film.
Well, it's really going to make my choice very different, but why don't you tell us, since you picked this, why don't you tell us yours first?
So, guys, just realize, pre-warning, spoiler alert, you might want to tune out when Kelly's turn comes around. You might not want to hear about his exciting adventure into lubricated films. All right, so I chose, you know that scene in like Indiana Jones where there's all the cups in the room? And they're drinking from the cups, and he's like, choose wisely.
Oh,
and that guy doesn't, and he turns to like ash.
The grails. When he said that, all I could think of was Signs, where the little girl leaves half empty water, half full water glasses.
That's also very much my life. But no, this was my week.
Yes.
That's what happened. I chose poorly.
Okay.
I chose extremely poorly.
As far as the subject, or
no.
Oh, okay.
No. As far as the film goes.
Oh, okay.
And I've been really busy, so I've only had time to fit in so many movies. I did not have time to change my mind, but so I'm sticking with it. Guys, prepare yourself for Lake Placid.
It has existed since prehistoric times. It was worshipped by primitive cultures. It can kill a man with one crushing bite.
We heard a man was bit in half.
Any recent bear attacks?
Bears don't attack people underwater.
Probably a beaver, then.
What was that?
Whatever's out there being shot with this, he's dead.
Bill Pullman.
Shoot him!
No! How much of a wacko is this guy? Bridget Fonda.
Mother!
Oliver Platt.
Maybe he swam back out!
Maybe not. I just have this feeling everything's totally safe.
This summer, the Earth's oldest creature has just found a new home.
Go under!
Lake Placid.
The 1999 classic. It's okay. So it's starring Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda, Oliver Platt, Betty White. Okay, so it's going to
that sounds good.
It's going to sound good, right? Directed by Steve Miner, who did Halloween H2O, House, amazing, Friday the 13th Part 2, and Switched at Birth, oddly enough, the TV series.
Guess I don't know that one.
No.
The writer is David E. Kelly, who should sound very familiar because he started a lot of television series, including
every TV series in the 80s.
Completely. L.A. Law, Ally McBeal, Doogie Howser, he's got his name on 160, 90, 80 odd episodes of different things. So he's supposed to be a good writer. The budget was 35, not 3.5, 35 million. Whoa. It grossed 56.87. So it was a mild success. And then Rotten Tomatoes score 46 for critics, 36 for audience.
Wait, is that true? Wow. I like this movie quite a bit. Now, I may have told you last episode how much I like alligator movies.
The alligator's not the problem.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
So let's just talk about the basics here, right? So the plot. There is a creature in a lake. It is not called Lake Placid. This lake is called It's Black Lake or it's something. Yeah, Black Lake. They mention at one point how they wanted to name it Lake Placid, but didn't. So
because of the Olympics.
I don't know.
Wait, they mentioned in the film that they wanted to.
They're on the boat in the lake, and they're like, "Yeah, they were gonna name it Lake Placid because it's so placid," but ended up going with Black Lake, and the actress is like, "Yeah, it's a very dark lake."
Huh? There is a Lake Placid.
Yeah. Yes.
And I just assumed. I don't remember this part. I just assumed the name of the lake was Lake Placid.
Oh. It gets odder. So there's a giant beast of some kind in the water that we don't know exactly what is. There's
unless you've seen the poster for the film when you walk in.
In which case you 100% know.
Right.
But I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it last week, so that's fine. There's a cop and he's out on a boat with a guy, and the guy's gonna scuba dive, and the cop is like, "Don't be one of those sarcastic dudes saying sarcastic." No one knows what the word sarcastic means in this film, and consistently misuses it throughout, as well as ironic. The two things. Oh God. I can't even.
Adding to my list as we speak.
Oh.
I like this movie a lot.
What? At one point I wrote down in my notes, sarcasm achieved, ! Because they finally did it. I was so proud.
Just needed to watch, Mighty Ducks or something like that.
Just a little bit. Just talk to a 13-year-old.
Yes.
Watch one episode of The Simpsons. I don't know. No one understands. He's like, "Don't give me that sarcastic noise," because the guy grunts at him. I'm like, that doesn't mean what you think it means. That you can't grunt. Oh, okay. So anyway, dude goes around. He's looking at for beavers, and he's like, "I want to check out the beaver habitat. I'm gonna be underwater." So he goes and does that, and then is eaten horrifically by something. And it's kind of neat. There's this great bit where the cop pulls up a torso, and there's just guts kind of out of the torso, and the guy's still very slightly alive. He holds his hand, and then he dies.
Well, that'll happen when that,
So that's the setup, right? So then we get this kind of crew of characters that start showing up, including Bill Pullman, who is the fish and wildlife expert who's there hanging out. He's wearing an official shirt and jeans the whole time, which looks hilarious. I totally recommend that part. That's great. It's always funny. Never stops being good. And then they fly in this, our female star, Bridget Fonda. So she works at a museum, and she is kind of an anthropologist-y kind of person. And so the museum sends her to check out a tooth that was left in the guy. But she's not a medical person. And she makes it very clear she doesn't do field work. And she hates the outdoors. And she hates water. And she hates mud. And she hates the sunshine. And throughout the whole thing, you're like, why are you studying natural earth topics? Why are you here? And this is a question Bill Pullman frequently asks. Why are you here? Why is there a horrific death and a museum in New York sends one of the chicks who dusts off the bones to go. Okay, whatever. It's fine. So as the movie
sounds like it, yes.
As the movie progresses, we find out more about the creature underneath. It's a giant African crocodile. It may or may not have some kind of ancient origin. At one point, they say it's like an old ancient species, but then later they're like, oh, it's African. So I don't...
True of alligators in general.
Right.
Yeah, they're the last dinosaurs on the planet. So
exactly. And like they're in this lake in Maine for some reason, and they have to defend as to like how an alligator from Africa would get into a Maine lake, which makes all kinds of sense. Man, this movie, it takes so many twists and turns with trying to make a plot that makes sense. I am just on a roller coaster ride of hoping that this movie starts to not suck. I love it because one of the best parts is like Betty White. So Betty White's awesome. She's great. She's cursing at everybody. She's like got a bunch of cows and like a horse on her piece of land that's on the lake. I don't get it. I've never seen somebody who owns farm animals and they're just squeezed into a portion of the lake. That's fine. Whatever. I don't care. So she's feeding the crocodile these cows of hers. But then later, when they try to catch this crocodile, as you do, they borrow one of her cows and she freaks out. And she's like, don't take my cow. They clearly mean so much to me, my cows. I'm like, you've been weekly feeding your cows to this crocodile. What do you care that a cow... And then she curses at the cops. She calls them something like a cocksucker or something. And then later she sees the cops and they come to get her, steal her cow. And she says, I didn't want to say it before, but you guys are real cocksuckers. I'm like, but you did say it before. What is happening? What world are we in right now? There's a romance that occurs between Bridget Fonda and Bill Pullman for no reason. She is the most irritating human being alive. No human should be subjected to this person. I mean, it's like a caricature of like 90s femininity. It's like shrieking and like, ooh, everything's dirty and wet the whole time. And like he hates her and she hates him. And then she stands out at dark on the side of the lake. Camping, which she's terrified of, and she suggests she's worried that these yokel men will rape her, and says that to the lady cop, who then kind of walks off, and then Bill Pullman standing behind and gives her a look. And I was like, this is an odd thing that's going down. But anyway, this romance. So anyway, I can't stop being unhappy right now. This romance that occurs, so she's staring out at the lake and Bill Pullman's there and he's like, what you staring at? And she's like, good lake for skipping rocks. Instant chemistry. Just instantly love each other.
There you go.
Tension. As they walk away from this, amazing conversation, like he looks, but she's not looking. Then she looks, but he's not looking. I'm like, no, you did not earn this. This is not acceptable. Please, for the love of God, stop.
Well, also, how would she know it's a good lake for skipping rocks? She hates the outdoors.
Right. When did she ever skip rocks? How does she know these things? There are just endless queries in this film. And we kind of, the icing on top of this alligator cake is that, I mean, the alligator is great. Like the croc alligator, whatever it is. This ancient creature is great. It looks awesome.
It does look cool.
I love the deaths with it. I love the way the tension that they build around it. It's clearly well directed. The actors are all in their top form doing these horrible characters. I'm totally in, except for the writing is so bad. There's no saving it. So David E. Kelly has failed this horrifically, and it all comes to a climax at the end when they're trying to kill this thing because it's murdering everybody, and it's a giant killing machine. And again, for no reason, they decide to try and not kill it because it's really important that they respect its life, and they try and do everything they can to save it, even if it costs additional extra lives and a helicopter and many other things going wrong along the way. So
this is a great recommendation. I feel the need for this to be watched.
It's so bad. It's so bad. It's 82 minutes, and it felt 82 minutes of painful wishing I had my life back. Like, the guy that originally it starts off with Bridget Fonda is being dumped by her boss, and that's why he wants to send her out on the field, and she doesn't want to go. And it's like her and this other coworker are both sleeping with the same guy. He's not cute. He's like an old, stodgy dude. I'm like, why? What is happening right now? Why are you both sleeping with him? Why are you mad at each other for sleeping with him? You both made terrible mistakes. You both got drunk separate nights and decided independently, probably, to sleep with this man. Forgive one another. It's okay. Maintain the sisterhood. It's going to be all right. Anyway, so that was Lake Placid. Oliver Platt is great. Bill Pullman is great. Betty White is great. Brandon Gleeson is great. Bridget Fonda, I would wish the worst things for her, but it's fine. Whatever.
This was the birth of the Betty White that we know and love.
Yes, and that I will always be thankful for, even with the plot fails.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
She is great. She showed up. She's swearing up a storm. And I think we all just went, oh, my God, what a great sense of humor this lady has.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. And like I said, there are really great things going on in it. It's really well shot. The CGI is awesome for the time, like for 1999 CGI. Super impressive. The stars are really putting their all in. It's just a giant pile of shit scripts. So that's my pick this week.
Nice. I feel like I need to watch it again.
No, this was not what I wanted to happen. I was trying to say my pain should be enough for everybody. You don't have to do it. Just because you see somebody like fall off the mountain while skiing doesn't mean you need to then go.
This probably falls into my so bad it's good category because I do remember that this is not a great movie, but I also remember enjoying the fuck out of it.
Right.
But I also love me a crocodile or an alligator. Depending on whether it's after a while or see you later.
Right.
Eric, what did you pick?
Something better.
Yay! Tell me more. Give me a recommendation for a film that I won't want to slit my wrists after watching.
What I've got here is, depending on when you watched it, either Mamula, Nymph, or Killer Mermaids.
So, ladies, are you having fun yet?
Dark Sea Adventure.
Well, that's a cool place. Yeah, we should go there.
You don't want to go there. That island is drenched in blood. Just go somewhere else.
Who was that guy?
Nobody.
Your adventure on Mamula waits.
You must move.
Watch out!
We need to get the hell out of this place and off this island.
Ooh. Yes.
Fuck, I didn't write down the year. Very recently.
The title that it
2 or 3 years.
goes out to streaming, unfortunately, is Killer Mermaids, which is just the worst title for this really cute movie.
It'll get a certain crowd.
That's the problem. I think that's part of the problem. Well, let's dive into a little bit here. The ratings, it has no ratings from critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
And a 26 from the
audience?
general audience. So it's kind of like, I think these, if you're scrolling through when you're looking for this one and you see this poster, you're going, oh, it's like Piranha 3 or some shit like that. Piranha 3 Double D, I think is the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it kind of looks like.
Right.
A scantily clad lady in a bikini running away from the back tail of a mermaid. That's not what this movie is at all. It's made in 2014. And it's pretty dark. It's pretty grim. It starts off like you're feeling like, okay, maybe it is that kind of thing, because there's a fairly straightforward nude scene right at the beginning of the movie, so it falls into that world that the remakes of Piranha kind of made. Boy, it's directed by Milan Todorovic.
Todorific.
Actually, Todorovic, probably.
Todorific.
Who directed some... He's the film's Serbian, so he's...
I did wonder if it was going to be foreign or...
But it's in English.
Oh, really?
It's Serbian.
Is it active
I
in
thought
English?
I thought it took place in Greece.
It does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's in Greece, but it's set in Greece.
And it's English language?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This guy directed apparently a big hits in Serbia. He directed 45 episodes of Emergency Center, Zone of the Dead. It's written by Marko Bakovic and Barry Keating and the director. Christina Klebe is one of the stars. She's in Hellboy 2 2019, Tales of Halloween, a Myth movie that I showed a few years ago called Alter Egos with the superheroes.
Oh, yeah.
She was in that.
That's cool. Bring back Myth.
Franco Nero, who had 235 credits, so pick something, and he's probably been in it.
Wow.
I did write down he's in John Wick 2 and Django Unchained. And the last one was Natalie Byrne, who was in The Expendables 3. All right.
Sweet.
There's a couple of things that I could see why the low rating might happen. It's largely in English, but I think only probably two or three of the actors are native English speakers.
Oh, okay.
So you've got this weird kind of Serbian accent, and you could tell one of the secondary lead actress was trying very hard not to have that accent. So she overpronounces things sometimes, but she still it's a pretty strong accent. If you went in thinking it's going to be Piranha 4, it's not going to work. This whole story is just a bunch of people trying to party on a weekend, sort of, but they're more like touristies. And they end up on this weird-ass island where there's a mermaid. She's a killer mermaid.
Watch out!
And the caretaker is there, and it's got pretty strong, when they start to tell you the history of why the mermaid's there and stuff like that, it actually works. It's pretty, you look like you got something you're dying to say.
No, I'm super engaged. I'm super excited. I want to know how, are they feeding it? Did they breed her?
Yeah, one of the caretakers is feeding the mermaid.
Okay.
There's kind of a love thing going on with the mermaid and the caretaker.
Aww.
And, you can hear by the description why it probably got low ratings. But it's actually very well acted. It looks really cool. Mm-hmm. There's some kind of rough CGI, but at the same time, there's a part where the mermaid jumps out of the air and flips in this wild thing. And the flip and everything looks really cool, but the CGI just, it's not quite up to par.
Yeah.
The violence is pretty decent. I don't know, it's just smart, fun, interesting kind of film that it looks like nothing like the advertisements set it up to be. It's on Amazon, so it's easy as hell to see.
Oh.
It's out there everywhere. I actually was, when I was trying to find this monster, I was looking through, Amazon, looking down the road. Oh, Killer Mermaids. 2 days later, I go back, oh, fuck, I've seen that movie, and it's actually good. So I watched it again, going, okay, yeah, it is still actually good. And even though having seen it once before, knowing it's good, the poster and name are so bad that it made me gotta laugh and dismiss it hand the first time through.
Which is so frustrating because at SIF, not last year, but the year before, I watched the Mermaid movie they had there. And I hated it.
Which one was that?
Blew my mind.
Oh, that's on Shudder now, so that's bad.
I personally hated it. Many people apparently enjoyed it. I don't need to watch a strumpy teenager walk around pissed off with very little mermaid action. I don't need to see some angry German chick who doesn't like the new town she's moved into be a total asshole to her parents and her friends, and then...
Well, that's so unique. How could you not be all
How could I never have... I've never seen this movie before. My God. A slightly indie-style film where a girl makes terrible decisions? Great.
It's called The Little Mermaid.
I wish something like this would get a lot more show and love, just because I feel like marketing really does make all the difference.
Yeah.
Because there was so little mermaid in Blew My Mind, but it sounds like this really focuses on that.
Blue, BLUE. So it's
Be prepared for it to blow your mind. You're welcome. You get that one for free.
There seems to be a massive subculture of mermaid things going on right now, kind of like cosplay and stuff like that, where there's a lot of people dressing up and swimming as mermaids.
The phase is actually kind of come and went. Like, because it was like little kids got like the little tails, and like they had the kind of snuggy tails that you could get for couch laying, and on Etsy they had the crochet like my niece was into the mermaid thing, so I've been exposed to it for a little bit now, but I think it's on its way out. I think we're seeing the tail end of it. But I was really interested in seeing
the tail end.
Oh, that was accidental.
I wish I had said that.
I wish you had too. But yeah, like I saw. I actually own The Lure, but haven't watched it yet. But that's another mermaid. Yeah. But Criterion picked it up, so obviously it's going to be
that
amazing.
one is weird.
Really?
That one is weird.
Okay.
It's got.
You're now my mermaid film expert. You're my go-to.
Seen two.
I'm going to be texting
three.
you.
I've seen The Little Mermaid too. It's that one enough. Is if that's the one I think it is. It's got two mermaids in it. Then they become like disco nightclub singers. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad film, but it's different.
Okay. That's why I keep picking it up and putting it back. I'm like,
yeah, it's weird.
So out of the mermaid genre, would you rate Killer Mermaids like top, do you think? Or is it like middle?
As far as if you're going to go the artistic making of a film, Lure is better.
Okay.
Lure is a better made movie.
Okay.
Sort of like City of Lost Children or something like that, where you go, it's good, but it's just kind of weird.
Sure.
Lure is that way, but it's a lot more violent and mean.
Clearly Splash is at the top.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my God, that's true.
The fuck,
Splash.
man.
That's right.
Oh, my childhood. So good.
They did have one kind of like, I see what you're going for here, guys, but you kind of failed scene with where they tried to do a Jaws exposition scene where it's the old gnarled fisherman trying to explain what's happening with all the mermaids in this part, and we were in a boat and the mermaid came for it, kind of scene going, and it's very near the end, so it's kind of
you ever seen a mermaid's eyes? Doll's eyes, black eyes.
Exactly, yes. But overall, easy to watch kind of film.
Yeah, I like it.
That sounds awesome.
What do you have, sir?
Okay, I have got a weird one, and you have never seen it, Vanessa.
Okay.
You may have seen it because you are the right age. This played once in 1978, January 27th on ABC's Friday night movie.
I did not see this, no.
And if you saw it, you think about it and you're like, what was that movie with the giant turtle and the girl in the water? And this movie haunted me forever. I was 8 years old and I finally found it when I was 29 or 30 as a bootleg. It is called The Bermuda Depths. It's not a great movie, but there's something about it that sticks with you if you've seen it, especially if you were a kid. Okay. So
come to Strange Eons Radio for it's not really a good movie, but damn it, I like it. Recommendation.
I'm going to guess that Vanessa would like it better than Lake Placid.
True, yes.
It was directed by Tsukunobu Kotani. It was produced by Rankin and Bass. Now, you know
Really?
Rankin and Bass
Yes.
from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Frosty the Snowman movies from the TV movies
So is
or
this a
The Hobbit and
it's a
Return of the King.
claymation
Yeah.
adventure?
Yeah. So these guys did, they had their hands in a lot
I think
of
she
shit.
was asking if this movie is.
Oh, you asking if this
Yeah,
movie
is
is? No.
Oh,
No. Sorry.
I'm real sad now.
It was written by Arthur Rankin, and it stars Leigh McCloskey, who was in Dallas. He was also the lead in Dario Argento's Inferno. Did you guys?
yeah.
Okay. It stars also Carl Weathers,
Yeah.
fresh off of his Apollo Creed roles in Rocky and Rocky II. And it is the first appearance of Connie Selica, who was the girlfriend in Greatest American Hero, and then roughly 1 million other television episodes. She never made the jump to actual theatrical stuff because in the 70s and 80s you could not do that. You were a TV actor or you were a movie actor.
Thank
It also
God for
has
freaking-
Burl Ives in it.
Burl Ives. Who's Burl Ives?
He was the voice of Frosty the Snowman and a Oscar-winning actor from the 50s and 60s.
I'm just gonna, as
Cat
you describe this film, I'm just gonna pretend it's claymation.
Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, I'm just gonna close my eyes and think of like Carl Weathers, the friendly
Also,
neighbor.
Carl Weathers looking fucking great. Yeah, I mean, in the prime of his life, wearing a little half shirt because that was kind of what we did.
Kind of like held that on through with Rocky 3.
Right. He's got he's got some serious biceps going on in this movie. So a man, and this would be Leigh McCloskey's character, he goes to meet his childhood friend, Carl Weathers, to get work. He's kind of lost and everything, and his friend is a research assistant on a research boat. First day on the boat, they've got these gigantic nets that they're trolling for stuff, and the nets are shredded by this gigantic creature. They're pulling up the nets, and they're just like, what could possibly do this? There's nothing this large in the ocean that could do this. And so through flashbacks, we see the man as a little boy who lived in this area and the little girl that he was in love with. And they're running and playing, and they have a scene where these little shits carve their initials in a heart on this sea turtle that they find.
Oh, fuck,
Now,
man.
I don't know exactly what the pain threshold of sea turtles are. It seems to me like that would probably hurt, but I don't know. It is a protective shell, so maybe it's made just for these kind of things. It also then shows the girl who swims away with the turtle, and he never sees her again. She's like, I mean, these kids are young. They're 7 or 8.
Right.
Another flashback shows his father, who dies when their house, which is on a cliff overlooking the ocean, is being rocked by something gigantic, and his father falls to his death into the water. And so he's got these memories that come up through dreams, and he then, of course, went on to live his life somewhere else and is not a very well-adjusted guy, but coming back to his hometown and seeing his old house, which is kind of in a shambles, all of this stuff is helping him get through some of this stuff. But while he's there, he meets this beautiful, mysterious woman played by Connie Selica. And while they're walking through the house, he's showing her parts of his childhood and all of this stuff. She's like, oh, this is all very interesting, I guess.
Eye rolls.
He's called away then to go with Carl Weathers to look at these tracks on the beach. There's something huge has dragged itself through.
Tracks of land.
Yes, has dragged itself through the sand. And
Haven't seen anything tracks this big on the beach in many years.
It's quite clear that it's this gigantic, huge track with gigantic flipper tracks next to it, and they're all like, what could possibly make this? Well, I mean, I'm guessing it's a gigantic turtle, right, you guys?
I know. Is it a whale?
Right.
A floppy whale?
So later, they catch the enormous turtle in their nets. And we get to see these effects that look like subpar Godzilla effects from the 60s. Because this was shot in Japan, basically.
Yes.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
Japanese director.
Nice.
And so the effects, the boat, which we've seen in real size, now looks like a very bad miniature. Quite honestly, in a bathtub, it looks that bad. And we see the turtle come up, and it looks like a very bad, not even man in a suit, like a giant puppet turtle.
I was gonna say, does the turtle like change sizes? So sometimes it's an actual turtle, but they put it in the bathtub with the model. So
Yes.
it's just like attacking it.
Well, no, it's never a real turtle, unfortunately. It's always, in gigantic form, it is always just a
Giant puppet.
Yeah.
I'm still okay with this.
And his Connie Salico's name is Jenny Hanover, which is a popular, legendary name of a woman who had died in mysterious ways. She had made a pact with the devil to survive this her ship being destroyed.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
She shows up on the boat at night. They've got the turtle caught, and she basically begs him, "You have to let the turtle go." And he's like, "We can't let this turtle go. This is a find of the century." And she's like, "It's very important you let this turtle go." Whatever. Fuck that.
This is the best conversation anyone's ever had.
They don't let the turtle go. The turtle fucking lets itself go because this motherfucker is badass. It's gigantic. There is a helicopter coming to check out the turtle. The turtle leaps from the water.
Oh my God.
Knocks the helicopter into the water where it explodes.
Yes.
The boat is capsized. They are fighting for their lives. Carl Weathers they're on a little dinghy boat now. The boat is sinking. The turtle is swimming off. Carl Weathers' leg is caught in the nets that are still hooked to the turtle. They're trying to figure out how to cut him loose. He's in a very grim moment. He's like, "Give me the knife. Give me the knife." And he's like, "What are you going to do?" And it's pretty clear that I think he's going to like cut off his leg or something, but never gets to that point. This is a TV movie after all. Carl Weathers is dragged under. And this guy is left. His job is gone. His best friend is dead. The girl is long gone. The turtle is getting away. And we've got this haunting scene. It's actually a really fucking great scene of the turtle kind of swimming away with the body of Carl Weathers just being dragged down into the depths with it.
It's so good.
It's so good. So the very last scene is the guy is vowing, to never come back to Bermuda again, and he has to tell Carl Weathers' wife, what happened and all this stuff. And so he's on a boat leaving the island, and he's been wearing these puka shell necklace thing that the girl had given him when they were just kids. And he throws it away into the sea, and we watch it sink down, and it sinks past the body of this gigantic turtle. And guess what's on the back of this gigantic turtle shell?
The carving.
The carved initials, who are, they're all like 12 feet tall, these initials now, because this thing is gigantic.
That's definitely how things like this happen.
So let me tell you a little bit about this. At the time, it was the highest rated TV movie for ABC.
Wow.
I couldn't find any numbers to validate that. Now, remember, the highest rated TV movie was The Night Stalker, but that was CBS. Mm-hmm. So this is the highest rated one for ABC. It's obviously playing off the Jaws thing and every other Jaws ripoff that came behind it, because there's a ton of scenes that are very much Jaws scenes with research stuff with
turtles coming by,
a Hooper type character and all of that shit. But there's actually some real story going on where most of the Jaws ripoffs didn't get what made Jaws so great. They all thought, well, shit, it's got to be sharks.
Right.
We got to make shark movies and shark attacks. That's what people loved. They didn't, understand that it was all the family human stuff going on in that movie that made it so great. And this really does kind of get that. They build up the relationship between the two friends and all of that stuff. And Connie Salica is, kind of a vision in this movie. In fact, 8-year-old Kelly saw Connie Salica, just after seeing Carrie Fisher and just prior to seeing Jane Seymour in Battlestar Galactica, and it cemented my love for brunettes. I think that we go
I could see that.
crazy over blondes, but I've never really looked twice. The brunettes have always been my thing, and I think it's based on these three women who hit at a very formative part of my childhood.
It's amazing how that happens.
Yeah, it holds a very special place for people my age who saw it that one time and then could never remember, because I went online kind of doing some research for this, and it's all, does anybody remember this movie? And then one person will go, you're thinking of the Bermuda Depths, and it's just like, thank you. And then 1 million responses underneath it going, oh, thank you so much. I've been looking for this movie forever. So it was available for a short time on Amazon Prime because Warner Media put out a nice DVD version of it. But not until like 2012 or something. So it's still available if you want to find this movie and you're listening and going, fuck, that's the movie I was always wondering about. Warner Media has it for like $25. The problem is the transfer of it is okay. Keep in mind, made as a TV movie in 1978. So you're going to watch it with big black bars on the sides of your widescreen television.
Sure.
It was shot on film, but they didn't bother to do much cleaning up of anything. So it still looks very watchable. It's much better than the version I have that I've had forever, which was a bootleg DVD recording off of
somebody's VCR.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, doesn't Warner have some, I think it's Warner who has something where you can kind of order virtually anything in their catalog?
That's what this is.
Okay,
it's that Warner Media something.
Yeah.
So, and that's what they do. For $25, you can get anything off of their catalog. No frills, no extras.
Nothing remastered, just here
the
it
vanilla.
is.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
And then about 5 years ago, it was announced, back to the Bermuda Depths. And nothing sets
I was going to say, it's still waiting.
So, yeah, not one thing. But there were a lot of people who were very excited about this. I love this movie. I think there are a lot of people out there who do love it. There's something really charming and innocent about it. It just, I don't know, it just stuck with me forever. And when you had suggested this, I thought, I think I'm going to talk about this movie that I know 1% of people remember and love.
I think that's awesome.
So,
Very
and
cool.
I sent you the poster art for it,
which is great.
It's got some crazy cool poster
really
art
cool.
for this little movie that they only showed once. I don't understand how this doesn't fall into some kind of a rerun thing. 3 years later, ABC says, "Hey, this was our highest rated movie. Why don't we show it again?" Nope, not a thing.
That's so weird. Like, I don't know. I feel like there was a special time of TV movies where it was a huge deal. And now we've kind of moved so far past that it's just like a glimmering memory of the past. And no one, I mean, one of my favorite films is a TV movie that I also had to like hunt down like crazy and get a VHS copy of off of eBay, which was Atomic Train starring Rob Lowe.
I remember this
that
movie.
one, yeah.
It wasn't that long ago, so but it's an amazing film, absolutely amazing. But yeah, like these TV movies, like they really have like a lot to them, and it's sad to have them disappear.
I think it's probably 70s, early 80s was really their heyday because Shogun came along and kind of pushed it more into miniseries and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Roots, and then Shogun kind of puts it past that, but then there's always Disney's Sunday night movie, and there's ABC's or whoever it was that did Saturday night.
Yeah, that was the thing. They all decided once, I think it was CBS started it, and they all saw that the ratings were great because at the time, if you didn't see a movie in the theaters, you were going to wait 3 years to see it show up on TV. So they were offering first run entertainment, and every studio said, well, shit. And then that was the thing. You didn't want to go up against CBS's Wednesday night movie.
Right.
So, there was a Friday night movie, there was a Saturday night movie, then there was the Sunday matinee that some stations had. So,
Yep. Very nice.
yeah, well, cool.
That's
that
a
means
variety of
Yeah, that was like
trio
a
in this particular
huge
group. Yes.
yeah,
swath.
something for everyone. That's what we try to do on this podcast. Strange
nothing
News
for
Radio.
anyone.
I was gonna say, don't watch like Placid. I will totally check out your guys' movies, but
Eric, if I'm not mistaken, that makes it your turn to pick.
Yes, it
Ooh.
is. So I'm leaning towards making this horror specific, but doesn't necessarily have to be. Movie based on a book.
oh, okay.
Adaptations.
Yeah.
Is it adaptation or
I
don't?
mean the same thing.
But I don't like adaptation.
Adaptation.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I like
Adaptation.
adaptations.
Adaptation. It just
sounds
feels it just feels like less. It's clunkier, but more specifically clunky.
Yes.
And it sounds less like adoption. Which I don't want to associate with the word.
So shall we make it horror specific, or should we just go?
I think it kind of has to be at least genre specific.
Yeah.
Horror, sci-fi, fantasy.
There's a lot of sci-fi and
yeah.
obviously a lot of fantasy based on
Yeah, let's say Lord of the Rings is out.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings, Conan.
Happy to oblige.
The Shining. So
You're going to have to send us a list so I don't pick the wrong thing.
No, go for it. If it's something, generally thinking, if it's something you feel, if you were to go on to IMDb or something like that, and it'd be like 500,000 ratings.
Oh, okay.
That
then
might be.
Leave it alone.
Maybe we want to look someplace else.
Okay.
Right.
Unless it's 500,000 ratings and it sucks, but you can sell it as being good.
Okay.
Yeah, like you did with Lake Placid.
It was just so painful. I mean, I love disaster. I love disaster movies. I love horrible movies. I can't deal with really poorly written halfway in between movies. That's
and
all.
with that note.
Fair enough. Okay, that's what you guys are listening to next week. So go ahead and bone up on your adaptations. Let's also say that the film adaptation is right up. It's a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
Thanks so much to everybody again. Thank you. A big, big thank you to Daniel Williford, who is working his ass off to get our films shown at a drive-in theater coming up this fall for the little horror festival.
That's awesome.
We will have more news on that as it gets finalized. And that's it. We will see you all next week. Thanks.
See ya.
Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Morgret. Our theme music is Strange Aeons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Aeons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts are found.